The sodium lights flickered in the parking garage as Marcus Chen pushed his cleaning cart toward the exit. His shoulders ached from 8 hours of mopping floors and scrubbing toilets in the downtown corporate tower. The November wind cut through his thin jacket when he stepped outside. It was 6:47 a.m., and Detroit was just waking up. Marcus walked 3 blocks to catch the bus home. His daughter Lily would be getting up soon for school. He had left her with Mrs. Patterson next door, like he did every night shift. The $50 a week he paid the elderly woman was money he could barely afford. But Lily was only 8 years old. She could not stay alone. The bus rumbled through streets lined with closed factories and empty lots. Marcus stared out the window, thinking about the $17 left in his wallet. Lily needed new shoes. Her toes were pushing to the front of her sneakers, and he had already glued them twice. Maybe he could pick up an extra shift on Saturday. He got off at Maple Street and walked past the corner store with its barred windows. The sun was rising, painting the sky orange and pink above the gray buildings. Marcus turned into the alley behind his apartment building. It was a shortcut he took every morning. That was when he saw the body. At first, Marcus thought someone had died. An old man lay crumpled against the brick wall, half hidden behind the dumpster. But this was not a man. The skin was silver blue, catching the early light like polished metal. The fingers were too long, with an extra joint. An alien. Marcus had seen aliens before. Everyone had, ever since Earth joined the Galactic Council 15 years ago. But they usually stayed in the fancy downtown areas or the special diplomatic zones. They did not end up in alleys in poor neighborhoods. The alien's chest moved. Breathing. Still alive. Marcus looked around the empty alley. He should call someone. The police? Galactic Services? He pulled out his phone, then stopped. His phone was 3 years old and barely worked. And what would he even say? By the time anyone came, the alien might be dead. The alien's eyes opened slightly. They were large and golden, with a softness that reminded Marcus of his late wife in her final days. Tired, in pain. The alien tried to speak, but only managed a weak sound. Marcus made a decision. He bent down and carefully lifted the alien. The body was lighter than expected, thin and frail under the tattered robes. Marcus carried him through the back door of the apartment building, up 2 flights of stairs, and into his small apartment. He laid the alien on the couch, the only furniture besides a kitchen table and 2 beds in the single bedroom. The alien's robes were dirty and torn. There was a wound on his arm, crusted with something that might have been blood, though it was darker than human blood. Marcus filled a bowl with warm water and found a clean towel. He had learned basic first aid when his wife was sick. He cleaned the wound gently, then wrapped it with gauze from the bathroom cabinet. The alien watched him with those golden eyes, but did not resist. "Are you hungry?" Marcus asked, speaking slowly. The alien nodded. His mouth moved, forming words in a language Marcus did not understand. Then, struggling, he spoke in broken English. "Thank you, hungry, yes." Marcus went to the kitchen. He had 4 eggs, half a loaf of bread, and some butter. He had planned to make breakfast for himself and Lily. Now he scrambled all 4 eggs and made toast. He brought a plate to the alien and helped him sit up. The alien ate slowly, his hands shaking. When he finished, tears rolled down his silver blue face. "Kindness," he whispered. The bedroom door opened, and Lily came out in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. She stopped when she saw the alien on their couch. "Dad." "It's okay, sweetheart. This is our guest. He was hurt, so I brought him home." Lily walked closer, curious rather than afraid. Children who grew up after first contact did not fear aliens the way older humans sometimes did. "What's your name?" she asked. "Corven," the alien said softly. Lily smiled. She went to her bedroom and came back holding her stuffed rabbit, the one her mother had given her before she died. She placed it gently in the alien's lap. "You can hold Mr. Hoppy. He makes me feel better when I'm sad." The alien looked at the toy, then at the little girl, then at Marcus. Something shifted in those golden eyes. Corvin stayed on the couch for 7 days. Marcus gave him the only pillow they owned and brought extra blankets from the bedroom. At night, Marcus worked his shift at the corporate tower. During the day, He slept on the floor beside the couch, insisting the alien needed rest more than he did. The first morning, Marcus made oatmeal for breakfast. There was only enough for 2 bowls. He gave one to Lily and one to Corvin, telling them he had already eaten. This was a lie. His stomach growled as he watched them eat, but he smiled and said nothing. Lily left for school at 8 o'clock. Marcus walked her to the bus stop, like always, holding her hand. On the way back, he saw 3 teenage boys surrounding a small alien child near the playground. The child had green skin and 4 arms, and the boys were laughing and pushing him. "Hey!" Marcus shouted, walking toward them. "Leave him alone." The biggest boy turned. "Mind your business, old man. He is my business. He's a kid, and you're bullying him. Stop." Marcus was not big or threatening. His jacket had holes in it, and his shoes were worn down. But something in his voice made the boys back away. They left, muttering curses. The alien child looked up at Marcus with wide, frightened eyes, then ran toward the diplomatic district. Corvin watched this from the apartment window. He had been watching since Marcus left. Now he touched the small device hidden under his robe, the one that recorded everything he saw and heard. He pressed it gently, marking the moment. Each day followed the same pattern. Marcus shared his food, though it was never enough for 3 people. He ate less and less, claiming he was not hungry. On the 3rd day, Lily noticed her father looked thinner. She started saving half her lunch at school and bringing it home for him. Marcus worked the night shift from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Before he left, he made sure Corvin had water and food within reach. He showed the alien how to use the television remote, though most channels were too expensive for their basic package. He left his phone number written on paper in case of emergency. At work, Marcus cleaned toilets and mopped floors. He emptied trash cans in offices where people made more money in a week than he made a year. Sometimes, he found loose change under desks. He always turned it into the lost and found, even when he desperately needed it. On the 4th night, his supervisor asked if he could work a double shift. Someone had called in sick. Marcus was exhausted, but the extra pay meant he could buy Lily those new shoes. He said yes and worked 16 hours straight. When he came home at 2 p.m., nearly falling over from tiredness, he found Lily reading to Corvin from a library book about planets and stars. The alien was listening carefully, asking questions in his improving English. "Dad." Lily jumped up. "Corvin says there are planets made entirely of water, and some have 2 suns. Marcus smiled despite his exhaustion. "That's amazing, sweetheart. I want to see them someday," Lily said, her eyes bright with dreams. Then she looked down. "But I know we can't afford it. Maybe when I grow up and get a good job." Marcus knelt down and hugged her. "You're going to do wonderful things, Lily. I believe in you." Corvin watched this exchange, his golden eyes unreadable. He touched the recording device again. On the 5th day, Corvin's wound had healed enough for him to walk. He offered to help clean the apartment, but Marcus refused. "You're a guest," Marcus said. "You need to rest." That afternoon, Marcus saw their elderly neighbor, Mrs. Chun, struggling to carry groceries up the stairs. She was 82 and had bad knees. Marcus took her bags and carried them to her apartment on the 4th floor, even though his own legs ached from standing all night at work. "You're a good boy, Marcus," Mrs. Chin said, patting his cheek like he was still a child. When it snowed on the 6th day, Marcus woke up early and shoveled the walkway in front of the building. Then he shoveled Mrs. Patterson's walkway next door. Then Mrs. Chen's. He did this before going to work, and no one paid him or even saw him do it. But Corvin saw. He stood at the window, watching a human work in the cold with a broken shovel, helping people who would never know he had helped them. The alien's hands trembled as he recorded it all. On the 7th evening, Corvin told Marcus he needed to leave soon. His people would come for him. "Will you be safe?" Marcus asked. "Yes, thanks to you." Marcus shook his head. "You don't need to thank me. Anyone would have done the same." Corvin looked at him with ancient, sad eyes. "No," he said quietly. "They would not." On the 8th morning, Marcus came home from his night shift to find the apartment empty. Corvin was gone. On the kitchen table lay a handwritten note in careful English. "Thank you for showing me that goodness still exists. You saved more than one life. Corvin." Next to the note was a small coin made of silver metal, carved with symbols Marcus could not read. Lily cried when she realized their guest had left. "I didn't get to say goodbye," she said, holding Mr. Hoppy tight. Marcus hugged her. "Sometimes people have to leave suddenly, but I think he knew you cared about him." Life returned to normal. Marcus worked his night shifts. Lily went to school. They ate simple meals and counted every dollar. Marcus kept the alien coin in his pocket like a lucky charm, though he knew it was probably worthless. 3 months passed. Winter turned harsh. The heating in their building broke, and the landlord was slow to fix it. Marcus and Lily slept under every blanket they owned. Marcus picked up extra shifts to pay for a small space heater. His body ached constantly now, but he never complained. Then, on a cold February evening, everything changed. Marcus had just come home from his shift. Lily was eating cereal for dinner because it was all they had until payday. Someone knocked on the door. Not a normal knock, a formal, heavy sound. Marcus opened the door and stepped back in shock. 3 aliens stood in the hallway, wearing elegant uniforms that shimmered like liquid metal. Behind them were 2 human officials in expensive suits. "Marcus Chun?" one of the humans asked. "Yes. We're from the Galactic Council. We need to speak with you about Corvin. May we come in?" Marcus's heart raced. Had he done something wrong? Was it illegal to help an alien without reporting it? He let them in, telling Lily to wait in the bedroom. The tallest alien spoke in perfect English. "Mr. Chun, the individual you knew as Corvin was not who he appeared to be. His full name is Corvendus the Wise, father of Empress Shiraven, ruler of the Valerian Imperium." Marcus stared. "What? He was dying in an alley. He was testing the galaxy," the alien explained. "Corvendus is over 800 years old. He has led our people through ages of war and peace." But he had grown concerned. He wanted to know if compassion still existed in the universe, or if power and technology had destroyed basic kindness. The human official opened a tablet. He visited 47 worlds over 3 months. He disguised himself as a helpless elder and observed how each species treated him. On 46 worlds, the tall alien continued, his voice heavy. He was ignored, robbed, or attacked. Some stepped over him. Some spat on him. Some stole what little he carried. One world nearly killed him. Earth was his final test before he would return home in despair. Marcus felt dizzy. I just helped someone who needed help." "We know," the alien said. "The Empress herself wishes to speak with you." Before Marcus could respond, the apartment filled with light. When it faded, a new figure stood in the room. She was tall and regal, with silver-blue skin like Corvin's but radiating authority. She wore robes that seemed made of starlight. This was clearly someone of immense power. "Marcus Chun," she said, her voice like music. "I am Empress Shiraven. You saved my father's life and, perhaps, his faith in the universe." Marcus did not know whether to bow or shake hands. He just stood there, feeling very small in his worn work clothes. The Empress touched a device on her wrist. A holographic image appeared in the air, showing Marcus carrying Corvin into the apartment. Then it showed him sharing food, cleaning the wound, giving up his pillow. But then the images changed. They showed Marcus defending the alien child from bullies, helping Mrs. Chun with groceries, shoveling snow for neighbors, working double shifts, exhausted, teaching Lily to be kind despite their poverty. "My father did not just record the help you gave him," the Empress said softly. "He recorded who you are. He watched you when you did not know anyone was watching. He saw you choose kindness again and again, even when it cost you, even when no one would know, even when you had nothing to give." She looked around the small, cold apartment, at the broken furniture and thin walls, at the empty kitchen. You had every reason to be bitter, to think only of yourself, to ignore a stranger, but you did not. The Empress met Marcus's eyes. "My father sent me 46 recordings of cruelty and indifference. Then he sent me your story. He said he had finally found what he was looking for." Marcus's voice shook. What was he looking for? Proof that goodness still exists in the galaxy. And he found it in the last place he expected, in a struggling human who had every reason to look away, but chose to see. The Empress gestured, and one of her attendants brought forward a crystalline tablet. Marcus Chun, my father wishes to honor you. We offer you wealth beyond measure. Enough credits that you and your daughter would never struggle again. A home in the diplomatic district with every comfort. Access to our medical technology. A position as cultural advisor to the Valerian Imperium. Your daughter would receive education at the finest academy in the galaxy, learning alongside the children of ambassadors and rulers. Marcus looked at the glowing tablet, then at his daughter peeking from the bedroom doorway. Lily's eyes were wide with wonder and hope. This was everything they needed, everything he had dreamed of giving her. Can I have time to think? Marcus asked quietly. The room fell silent. The Empress tilted her head, genuinely surprised. You wish to consider? Yes, please. It's a lot. The human officials exchanged confused glances. One whispered, people usually accept immediately. The Empress studied Marcus for a long moment. Very well. We will return tomorrow evening. Take the time you need. After they left, Lily ran to her father. Dad, did you hear? We could have a real home, and I could go to fancy school. Marcus sat down heavily on the couch. I know, sweetheart. I know. That night, Marcus could not sleep. He walked through the quiet apartment, thinking. At 3 a.m., he went outside and sat on the front steps of the building. The street was empty and cold. Mrs. Patterson found him there an hour later, coming back from her night shift at the hospital. Marcus? You okay, honey? He told her everything. When he finished, she was quiet for a while. That's amazing. You deserve this. Do I? Marcus asked. I just did what anyone should do. But most don't, she said gently. That's the point, isn't it? The next evening, the Empress returned with her delegation. Marcus had asked Mrs. Patterson, Mrs. Chun, and 3 other neighbors to be present. Lily sat beside him, holding his hand. I've made my decision, Marcus said, his voice steady. But first, I have questions. The Empress nodded. Ask. If we move to the diplomatic district, can Lily still see her friends here? Of course, though it will require travel time. Would I have to stop working? Would I just have money for doing nothing? The Empress frowned slightly, considering. You would have duties as an advisor, but nothing like your current labor. Why do you ask? Marcus looked at his worn hands. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't have to struggle, if I didn't have to work hard. It sounds strange, but the struggling made me me. One of the Valerian attendants whispered something in their language. The Empress raised her hand for silence, listening intently to Marcus. And my neighbors, Marcus continued, the people on this street, they need help too. Mrs. Patterson works 2 jobs. Mrs. Chun can barely afford her medicine. The Rodriguez family lost their son's college fund when the factory closed. If I just take everything and leave, what happens to them? The Empress leaned forward. What are you saying, Marcus Chun? Marcus took a deep breath. I'll accept your offer, but I want to negotiate different terms. The human officials looked shocked. One started to speak, but the Empress silenced him with a glance. Go on. I want a community development fund for this neighborhood. Money to fix the buildings, create jobs, open a medical clinic. I want scholarships for kids from struggling families across Earth. Not just Lily. I want job training programs, so people here can build better lives. He paused. For me and Lily, I'll accept enough money to live comfortably and an education fund for her. But I want to keep working. Maybe not as a janitor, but something useful. Something that helps people. And I want to stay connected to this community. The room was utterly silent. Even Lily looked surprised. The Empress stood slowly. She walked to the window and looked out at the broken street, the old buildings, the struggling neighborhood. When she turned back, there was something like awe in her ancient eyes. My father searched 47 worlds of compassion, she said softly. But he found something more rare in you, Marcus Chun. He found someone who, when given everything, still thinks of others first. She touched her wrist device. Your terms are accepted. All of them. Wait, really? Marcus blinked. You have reminded me of something we Valorian forgot long ago. The Empress said, true civilization is not measured by technology or power. It is measured by how we treat those who cannot repay us and what we do with our blessings when they come. She bowed to Marcus, a gesture that made her attendants gasp. An Empress never bowed. You honor us, Marcus-chun, and you teach us. Mrs. Patterson started crying. Mrs. Chun clasped her hands together. The Rodriguez family hugged each other. Marcus just sat there, overwhelmed, while Lily squeezed his hand tight. When do we start? He finally asked. The Empress smiled. Tomorrow, we rebuild the street first. 6 months later, Maple Street looked like a different world. The old apartment buildings had new roofs and fresh paint. The broken sidewalks were smooth and clean. A medical clinic stood where an abandoned warehouse once was, offering free health care to everyone in the neighborhood. The corner store had been replaced by a community center with computers and job training classes. Marcus still lived in the same apartment, though now it had working heat and new furniture. Every morning, he walked Lily to the bus stop, just like always, but now she rode to the Advanced Learning Academy, where human and alien children studied together. She came home every afternoon to play with her old friends, refusing to forget where she came from. Marcus worked as a cultural liaison between Earth and the Valerian Imperium. He helped humans and aliens understand each other. His office was in the community center, and his door was always open. People still called him Marcus, not Ambassador Chun or any fancy title. He liked it that way. But the changes went far beyond one street in Detroit. Cor Vendis had done something unexpected. He made his recordings public across the entire galaxy. Not just a video of Marcus helping him, but all 47 tests. The contrast was stark and disturbing. World after world showed cruelty, indifference, theft. Then came Earth, and a poor janitor who shared his last meal with a stranger. The recordings spread like fire through the Galactic Council. They were shown in universities, discussed in government chambers, debated in homes across 1,000 worlds. People called it the Cor Vendis question. Had advancement cost them their basic decency? The philosophical awakening was profound. Dozens of species began examining their own societies, asking uncomfortable questions. When did we stop helping strangers? When did we become too busy, too advanced, too important to show simple kindness? Alien anthropologists came to Earth, specifically to poor human neighborhoods. They studied communities like Maple Street, documenting acts of everyday compassion. They watched humans help each other without expectation of reward. They saw parents sacrifice for children, neighbors support neighbors, strangers assist strangers. Humans help each other even when it hurts them. One Valerian researcher wrote in a report that became famous. They maintain hope in circumstances that would crush most species. They build bonds of community that transcend logical self-interest. Perhaps being the youngest species in the Council is actually their advantage. They have not yet forgotten what it means to be simply kind. Not everyone liked this attention. Some humans found it embarrassing. Some aliens found it insulting. But others saw truth in it. The Galactic Council created the Cor Vendis Initiative, funding programs across member worlds to reconnect species with fundamental compassion. Community service became part education on 70 planets. Helping strangers was encouraged, even rewarded. The galaxy was slowly remembering lessons it had forgotten. On a warm August evening, Marcus and Lily traveled to the Valerian homeworld for a formal ceremony. They rode in a diplomatic ship that moved faster than light, crossing distances Marcus once thought impossible. Lily pressed her face to the window, watching stars streak past, her dreams finally coming true. The Valerian capital was breathtaking, towers of crystal reaching into purple skies, gardens floating on anti-gravity, architecture that defied imagination. Thousands gathered in the Grand Assembly Hall, representatives from hundreds of worlds. Cor Vendis himself stood at the center, looking healthier and stronger than when Marcus had found him in that alley. The old alien's golden eyes found Marcus in the crowd and warmed with genuine affection. I searched 47 worlds, Corvendus said, his voice amplified across the vast chamber, for proof that compassion survives advancement. I disguised myself as the most vulnerable version of my species. Old, injured, helpless. I wanted to see who would help someone who could offer nothing in return. He paused, letting the silence build. 46 worlds failed this simple test, not because they lacked resources or knowledge. They failed because they had forgotten the most basic principle of civilization. We are measured by how we treat the weakest among us. Corvendus gestured to Marcus. This human had nothing. He worked exhausting jobs for barely enough money to feed his child. His body ached. His future looked bleak. He had every logical reason to ignore me, to protect his limited resources, to think of himself first. The old alien's voice grew stronger, but he did not. He carried me to his home. He shared his food. He gave me his pillow and blanket. He cared for my wounds. And when I watched him the days that followed, I saw him help others just as freely, not for reward, not for recognition, simply because it was right. Corvendus looked around the assembly. The question is not, are humans special? Humans are as flawed as any species. The question is, what have we lost that they still possess? And can we learn to reclaim it? The chamber erupted in a sound like thunder, thousands of beings expressing approval in hundreds of different ways. Later, as Marcus and Lily prepared to return to Earth, Corvendus approached them privately. He knelt down to Lily's level. "Your father changed the galaxy," he told her gently. Lily shook her head. "Dad says he just helped someone who needed help." The old alien smiled. "That is exactly why he changed everything." On the flight home, Lily fell asleep against her father's shoulder. Marcus looked out at the stars, thinking about the strange path his life had taken. One decision in an alley had led to all of this. When they returned to Maple Street, Marcus found a new alien family had moved into the building. They were refugees from a distant war, lost and frightened. Their daughter was about Lily's age. Marcus smiled and walked over to introduce himself, because that was simply who he was. And now, slowly, the galaxy was remembering how to be that way too. The janitor who shared his breakfast had sparked a renaissance, not through technology or force, but through the oldest and simplest power in the universe. One person choosing to help another, expecting nothing in return,